Hello, my name is Mary. Welcome to my channel. I have beautiful crafts for you today. Now these are nice and simple and perfect for your Halloween vignette. So let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start painting these containers. One of them is plastic, but I kept it because I like the shape of it. I thought it would go great with my idea of making potion bottles. And so I'm just gonna take off the lids because they will be painted a different color. And I'm gonna start painting them in black. And I did find that beer bottle. I will give you the story on that a little bit later. And for the paint, I'm just using Rust-Oleum black. And I'm sorry guys, my paint is getting old and it's getting a little bit chunky. But I don't want it to go to waste, so I'm just gonna use it up until it's all gone. Now the best way that I found to paint my containers is by dabbing the paint on it. And for the first layer, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna add a second layer, maybe even a third one if needed, but only two coats were needed for this project. So I started painting the sides, and then I'm gonna lay my jar on the table and I'm gonna proceed to paint the upper portion of it. And I have to say that this is very satisfying to do actually when you're dabbing the paint on the jar. It's I don't know, it's really nice and relaxing. Just dabbing away. And now you can see that with the help of my magic wand, aka paintbrush, all my jars are nicely painted. And I found this beer bottle in the garage and it had been sitting there since last year. This expired, or maybe longer, because this one expired in 2022. So I'm just gonna use my magic wand and just skip the whole paint process. I'm just trying to keep all the boring parts out for you guys. Now I found this nice container at Goodwill. And I paid $2.50 for it. And I also found this very nice topiary at the 99-cent store, which I thought was a really good fit for it. And with the help of my magic wand, it's all nicely painted. And I'm just gonna set it aside so that I allow the paint to dry. I also have this bottle. I decided not to paint it because I like the color of it. I thought it was nice and old looking. So it's very nice for Halloween. I just decided I did want to paint the lid to help it match with the rest of my colors. Because as you can see, all my other bottles will have a purple purple cap. And I'm just gently applying this very nice purple color. Now the colors that I chose, this purple is from Apple Barrel and the name is Purple Pansy. I don't know why they chose that name for that. For the green, for the topiary, I chose this paint from Hello Hobby from Walmart. The color was opaline green. And basically you don't have to choose these colors. Anything that is a nice bright purple and a nice bright apple green kind of green would look very nice. And my idea was I had Willy Wonka in my mind for the color palette, so that's why I chose the black, the purple, and the green. And I'm just dabbing a little more paint because once you paint it, it kind of, the black paint that's underneath it sort of absorbs the purple paint, so it just needed a second coat to make it stand out a little more. Now for my topiary, I don't want it to look plain, like a flat color, so you can see a little bit of the orange peeking out of the middle pumpkin, and I'm gonna leave it like that because I just wanted to have nice dimension, and I thought it looked a little bit plain as it was, so I decided to add stripes that go up and down following the grooves of the pumpkin. And so I just wanted it to look rustic. If you're thinking of like a farmhouse kind of finish, so this would be something similar. And I started adding the purple very gently. I didn't want it to be too much over the black. I just wanted to give it a little bit of dimension. Now after I was doing this, I noticed that you could barely see the purple because the black has a tendency to absorb the purple. So I did go back and I added a little extra because I did want it to show. You can see this is turning out so beautiful. Gently brushing. So I chose purple over the black, and also purple over the bright green. Just to give it a little texture or dimension. You can see I'm gonna start adding a little bit of stripes on it, but you can also, if you don't like this look, you can leave it out or choose a different color, maybe like a black over the green. But I was very happy with the results. And for the purple, I chose black over it. Now it's time to embellish this nice bottle. As you can see, I put a nice little sticker that I found on Amazon, and if you don't have a sticker, you can also just grab a little piece of drop cloth and put a stencil on it and just glue it onto the bottle, the potion bottle. And I'm just gonna use a little bit of hot glue on the back in case it's visible through the ribbon. And I don't want to put it all the way around, because later I might want to use this same bottle for a different project. And you can see that it's looking so cute. I really like it. Now I'm just gonna allow the glue to dry and gonna keep working on the other containers. The beer bottle needed to dry a little bit longer, so I went ahead and I set it aside. And now I'm just gonna work on the mason jar, which I'm gonna use as a vase for my Halloween vignette. I found this beautiful pearl ribbon at Dollar Tree, and it's a little bit too long, so I'm gonna cut it to length and also height. I'm gonna cut off the upper piece just to make sure that it fits nicely on the opening of the bottle. And I really like how the white looks against the black. I think it gives it a dash of elegance, and I think it goes really nice with the whole theme. So I'm just gonna grab my hot glue, and I'm gonna glue it on the back in case some of it shows. I don't want it to show through, so I'm not using a lot of hot glue. And I think the size of the ribbon is a perfect fit for it. Now that I cut off the one of the strands, which I'm gonna save and use for a later project. Now that the glue is dry on my bottle, I'm gonna cut off the excess ribbon. And this one is complete. I found this beautiful napkin back in the summer at Dollar Tree, and I bought like 5 packets of them. And instead of just leaving most of it, I decided to cut a portion, just following the lines of the flowers, and I only want to use this portion of the napkin to help it fit nice over my mason jar, and I'm going to decoupage on it. And I'm just gonna add a generous amount of Mod Podge in the center. And I don't think I need to paint the background white to help it stand out, because this gives us a more dark and moody Halloween theme finish. And I think the napkin looks just beautiful against the black. And it does pop. Those colors are just a nice contrast to the black. So you can see that I work in sections. I started with the center and then I did the sides, and I make sure that all of the napkin has glue underneath. And I found these beautiful flowers at Dollar Tree as well, and they have these funny eyeballs. I thought they were perfect for my Halloween vignette, and the colors are perfect as well. So that's what I'm gonna use for my vase. And I'm just taking off the tags. I'm gonna put it in my jar, and this project is finished. Nice and simple and super cute. And this is the bottle that I did earlier, which doesn't match with the others, but it's just like an extra option. If you don't have the paint and if you don't have the stickers, you can just grab a little piece of fabric and distress it. I like to pull out the strings along the edge and put a little bit of distress oxide. This one is Vintage Photo. And the idea is that you want the bottle to look like you found it in a basement, that it had just been sitting in a dark place for decades. And so if you don't have a stencil, you can also use letters. And I decided to use these letters that I had, these stamps, and instead of the word potion, I decided to go with poison. And I did need a spacer because I only have one O, so I just grabbed a different letter, and I'm putting ink on my stamps, spelling poison minus one of the O's. And I'm just gonna stamp it onto my little piece of fabric, and I'm using the spacer. And make sure I stamp it nice and firm over the fabric. And now I'm just gonna add more ink to the O and finish my poison sign. And you can just grab this and put it on your bottles for a nice and inexpensive option. Now I found this Spanish moss at Dollar Tree. I prefer the one from Walmart. but I didn't have the time to go, honestly. So I decided to go to get the one from Dollar Tree, and I think it worked just fine for this project. So all I'm doing is I'm just grabbing some Spanish moss and covering the holes, the gaps in between the pumpkins. And I also wanted it to have a little more texture, so I think this is a nice touch. And just a little bit of glue, a little bit of dab here and there. And then I'm also trimming some of the long pieces of the Spanish moss because I don't want it to look too messy. And there was a few holes that you could still see through, so I just grabbed a little bit more moss and I just tuck it in there. I give it a nice haircut. And this is looking so cute. I'm gonna add some moss to the upper one, and that will be the last for the topiary, and we just need to finish the project by putting it on the container. I really like the colors that I chose for this year, but I don't know, I really wanted to go with the typical oranges, but I don't know, this year I just wanted to do something different. And I'm really happy with my decision. I really like how these projects are turning out. Which one is your favorite? Just trimming some pieces here and there, making sure that it's not too messy or too manicured. And for the last project, I just grabbed a jar, a mason jar, and I found these eyeballs at Dollar Tree, and I just pour them in the jar. Now when I pour them in there, I do make sure that you can see the irises, so that it doesn't look like a jar that's full of white balls. And I have this beautiful fabric just lying around, and I thought it went perfect with my color palette. So I just cut it in a circle, and I grabbed some twine to secure it over the jar lid. I decided not to use any hot glue because I do want to use this jar for other things later. Halloween, doesn't last forever. And I just finished with a cute little bow, and I trimmed the long pieces. And this little jar is done. Now for my beer bottle, which at this point is actually poison. I couldn't decide which sticker to use because all of them are so cute, such good options. So I narrowed it down to like 5, and so I'm just testing to see which one is gonna look the best. And in the end, I decided to do a very fitting one that says poison. So I just put it on, and then I'm just gonna add a little bit of ribbon from Dollar Tree, and that will finish this project. Now I only put the glue on the back because I didn't want to risk the glue showing towards the front. And I think this beer bottle is a great idea. Like if you're gonna go hang out with friends on Halloween, you can bring a whole 6-pack of potion bottles, and that would make it more fun when you're hanging out. Or even for like if you're hosting a Halloween party, or friend or a coworker, I think it's a very fun option. Now, I found this ribbon at Goodwill, and I was gonna put it on the outside, but then I thought it wasn't long enough, and the handles of the bucket were going to interfere with the ribbon. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna leave it as is, and I'm just gonna cut some strands and I'm gonna put it along the rim of the bucket. And the idea is that I wanted some support for my Spanish moss, because I am going to line the rim of the bucket with Spanish moss, and I wanted a good surface for the Spanish moss to be sitting on, so it's not falling off or hanging over too much. So I cut these pieces in triangles, and I'm just gluing this along the rim. And I'm just getting ready to glue the last piece. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because nobody's gonna see the inside of this container. The pumpkin is gonna sit right over this, and I think it's gonna give it some nice support. Now I'm just cutting the excess, because the triangles were a little bit too long. I'm just adding the Spanish moss. And it's a little bit tricky to do this, because a lot of the glue can actually seep through the Spanish moss. So if you have those finger protectors, that would be great. We don't want to risk anyone getting burnt. So I'm just adding some of the Spanish moss, and I think this is turning out so adorable. And I'm just like stretching the Spanish moss, because I don't want to use too much. And I'm just adding a little bit more glue. Now, as I'm finishing this project, I was so excited, because I really wanted to see all put together. And just the last piece of moss. Now, I did notice that the ribbon, the jute ribbon, was sticking out too far, so I did go back and trim it down a little bit more. Not too much, because I thought it added good texture to it. And now I'm just gonna add a lot of glue along the rim to secure my pumpkin in place. I make sure that it is nice and straight, that it's not at an angle. However, if you wanted to do one at an angle, I think that would be really cute as well. And this concludes this project. Nice and easy.